Alright, let's take a look up underneath here. So far I got everything out. I even took the spare tire out so I can get more room up under here, but there she is. No shocks, no springs, nothing. Okay, sway bars down. That's the underside without anything in it. All open space up in here. Coil's got to go there. Shock go up in the in front of it. I wonder if it'd be easy. That wouldn't even be easier, would it? Nah, it's not gonna be easier if I put the shocks in first. I gotta get the coils in first anyway. But that's nothing under here. That other one should go in pretty easy because that'll drop down. That drops down a lot farther than this side. So that's why I'm gonna put this one in first. And get it put up there. There we go. Get it put up in there. And bolts down. It goes down onto that. Right there. Bottom there. Top there. Now my coils are multi-directional, or should say bi-directional. They are, it goes there to there, from that hole and over that hump right there. My coils are same size, same exact size both sides, so they go in either way. There is no up, there is no down on them. Okay. Alright. Look at that, no rust under there. None. Not a lick. Alright, I just want to give you that. We're going to go ahead and start trying to get the coil up in there. First thing that I got to do is I got to get these on, at least on one. I might be able to get the one up in the other side without even putting those on. But I got to get these coil compressors on this one because this one, let's get this. We're looking, I got, alright, about 18 inches. And I got to get it just under 14 inches. So I got to compress this 4 inches down so I can wedge it up in there. So I got to get 4 inches down on that one. But that's where that's at right now. Alright. One little thing I want to tell you not to do. Don't take a ratchet wrench and put it on these to tighten. Okay, this is what you tighten it with. Don't put a ratchet wrench on. I learned the hard way. Once it's compressed down, you're not getting this back off of there again. So open end or half-inch drive in there. Okay, but what I'm doing is I'm pressing them down. I got to get 4 inches compressed in order to get this in the driver's side. So I got me I got 7/8 and a 21 millimeter, and I'm doing like 10 turns one side, 10 turns the other side to keep it from bowing, you know, to keep it going compressed. And I got to make sure I get it from here, top to bottom, the same measurement that I can get it up in there. So that's what I'm doing right now, and it's just a little at a time. Already doing that one. And it will get tough to do and tough to turn. Oh, how far down I got it now. Well, I got a ways to go. Hopefully I can get them compressed far enough. And I still slide it in and not over top, because this is recessed in from this one, so I can get a good measurement from my top spring, my bottom spring. So I slide it through and rest it on both. That's going to take a while, so let's see if I can do it this way. You know what? I'll do that. My little 3-inch extension. Oh, the wrench is so much easier. That I'm going to face when I get up in there is, will I be able to get to these once it's up in there and have room to turn a wrench? I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I'm not going to bore you with this. I'll bring it up a little bit here. Now I've got the, oh, there we go. Slave bar bushings back up. Right there. All bolted back up. That one. And, oh. And that one. Well, let me do this. Oh, it is on. Okay. And that one. They're up there. I'm figuring about 20 foot-pounds on those. Whether they have a torque spec or not. I'm going to go with about 20 foot-pounds. And bolt those down all the way tight. They're snugged up. And then I'll get those shocks up in there later. Oh. There we go. And there's the spare. The general tire. Alright, that wasn't fun. Oh. First off, the shocks would not fit up in the slots. They would not go up. You got to put the, remember I showed you that little yellow pad slip, the thing I painted yellow, it's got the nut on the end that slides up in there. I'll show you here in a second. We gotta go around the other side. All right. That yellow piece, that clip that goes up in there. Hold on. Once you put that yellow piece up in there, their shock didn't fit. And it wouldn't fit in between there. It's supposed to go, oh come on now, it's hard to do this, I can't see the way I gotta hold the phone. Shock's supposed to go between here and here, but that clip's got to slide up on there, because that's where the nut is for the bolt. This, putting the shock width up in there, you have to hammer it in there just to fit it in without the clip. Add another 1/8 of an inch worth of metal and it don't go in there. This side here, I brute forced it in. I pulled the clip slightly down. Remember I clamped them tight so they hang up in there? I wouldn't have been able to do it unless I would have crimped them down tighter, because the gap was like that. And I crimped them on the end, not the open end, the closed end where my curve of my hand is, that where the clip. I clamped it down and it brought those in, the ends in closer. So I wedged it up in there. But I put just the tip, the top part of it, at the very bottom, so the clip was hanging down, and then I put the shock piece up against it and then hammered it up in, and the clip slid up with the shock, and I put the bolt in here and I started wiggling this around until I got the bolt to go all the way in, and then started tightening, and I had to use a ratchet to tighten it, to get it in there. Couldn't hand tighten it, but as you can see I didn't strip any threads. Okay, but I got that up in there, alright, and then got it tightened. Now the bottom one, that was a little bit easier, but still not easy. Oh, let me back up. That bottom one right there, that's got to go in the other way, and this hangs all the way down about here. So I had to use both hands on the bottom of this to push the shock and compress the shock up higher than the bolt hole. So I actually took the shock bottom here up about to here, and then I got the bolt ready, and then I pushed it in, the shock into this bracket. I pushed it in and then let the shock start pushing itself down while I was pushing on the bolt, and as soon as the shock hole got there, the bolt went in and stopped the shock from coming down any farther, and then I was able to wiggle it, wiggle the shock around, wiggle the bolt, and get it through to the other side and put the nut on and tighten them down. And then of course I cleaned up the shock. That was all nasty, but that was the easy side. Then I went over to the hard side and I got a little wiser on the hard side. Alright, hold on a second, let me get over here. Let's go under our jack handle. There's the jack handle. Okay, now this one's harder to see now. The bottom one, same thing I had to do on the bottom one as I did on the bottom one over there. Okay. Oh, hold on. Okay. I did the same exact thing. I muscled it up to compress the shock and wiggle the bolt. You took it higher than the bolt hole so the shock would go push it down. But the shock on this side didn't have enough pressure to push it down so where I can get the bolt through. So the bolt hole in the shock was higher than the bolt hole on its cradle. So what I did was I took my dead blow hammer and I started tapping. The way I started tapping was, oh, hold on, here towards the outside of the truck against the cradle. I didn't want to tap it in. I didn't want to tap it in because then it would mess up my bolt lineup for the up and down. It would have been too far over here. So I tapped it and it was barely moving, like a 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch at a time. Okay, it was barely moving, but I got it with the bolt. Finally got through, tapped it till I got the bolt all the way through and got that one in. But you got to hang the top one first. And when I do the top one, this one wasn't going in at all. And as you can see, you can't get to it. All right, you can't get your arms in there. So what I did, I shot up some brake clean up in there. I got my arm all the way up in there, rubbed it clean, and then I shot some more brake clean up in that slot, rubbed it clean again. Then I shot WD-40 up in there, and I also put grease around the edge of the shock. And then I pushed it, same thing with the clip, hung the clip down lower, lined it up with the hole in the shock, and then pushed the shock up in there, the clip went up with it, and the bolt got in it. But tightening that bolt was a little bit tougher than loosening it from, because you got to go over the top of the gas tank to do it. You got to come in from up over the top of the gas tank to get to the bolt. I don't even know if you can see it in there. I can't even tell what it's looking at. The bolt's like over there somewhere. But tightening it was a bear. And I got it tightened, got the bottom one tightened. So I got top bolts, bottom bolts of the shocks tightened up. They're on. As you can see, the shocks are on. The coils are on. They're all seated. My sway bar bushings are in. The bolts are tightened down on both sides. That's it. The conversion is complete. Now all I got to do is put the spare tire back up there, put the tires on, and bring her down. And take her for a test drive, and hopefully the back doesn't drop out on me. So other than that, yep, I'm just making sure I got everything tightened up in there. Top one, shock, yep. Bottom one, yes. 2 bolts there on the bushing, yes. Coil springs are seated. That's good. Same on this side. Both of those bolts. Coil spring seated, shock top bolt, shock bottom bolt. Why do I feel like I'm missing something? Oh, but anyway, we got that all done. So let's get the wheels back on. I'm going to get this cleaned up first here. And then we'll put the wheels back on it. Torque them down. Well, let me get my spare back up there first. So we get the spare back up there. We'll put the wheels back on it. And then I'm going to torque it down. And we'll see how she goes from there. Well, there you go, guys. She's done. That's her right height. Perfect. That's a good height there. Same as the front. Nice and level. And I just took her down the road and she does great. New shocks, new coil springs, new bushings. Of course I did that rear end earlier too. Changed all that out. So she's good to go. Now all I gotta do is parasitic draw. I'll do that this weekend. And I'll make a different video on that. We'll recap a few things of how I did things and to find what was going on, what was wrong, and what was wrong. Well, I don't know exactly, but this was the culprit here that was causing. I had to pull this one out. I can't even see it. 15 amp fuse, but I got that right there. But I got to do that. There's a fuse box cover off yet. But I'll make new videos on that. But as far as the whole rear suspension on this thing, it is all now redone, complete, and works great. So, that's my very first air ride suspension to coil spring suspension conversion that I've ever done. So I'm going to go ahead and put this video together, and I don't know what I'm going to use for a thumbnail. But anyway, I'm going to put this video together, go ahead and edit all my little snippets and put them all in, and upload to part 11. Part 11 is the final part. Everything underneath is done. As you can see, all good. Coils, shocks, all done. All buttoned back up. Snug as the bug in the rug. And it worked great. Okay. So we will button this one up.